All right, move on to lacrosse activity accounts.
It's a formality before we can open a student activity account. The board has to approve it, and we would like to establish an activity account for the girls lacrosse and then rename the existing activity account to boys lacrosse so that they each have their own, should they do any fundraising or have anything.
Why didn't we do this when we set up lacrosse? We set up boys and girls
Because all of the
lacrosse.
fundraising at the time was joint fundraising to try to get both programs up and running. And so that's why it was kept as one. The money that is in there now will be split evenly between the two accounts.
So we have this as a first read.
We should give the girls a little bit more because they're going to have to buy those helmets. All right.
Any questions on this?
Since this is just a formality, I recommend that we just go ahead and approve this evening. There is nothing that will change about this if we read it again at the next meeting or the meeting after that. So the sooner these kids can start fundraising and get the stuff into the right fund for whatever it is that they need, the better.
We'll open that for discussion. I don't think it's going to affect any, I mean, the fundraising wouldn't affect that. They would just go into this account, right?
Yeah, we could, when we
Then we just
deposit the
keep track
funds,
of
we
how much.
can
Yeah.
start keeping track of it.
It's fine, you know, we talked about having 2 reads of something, but we continually get things that need to be voted on, presented at the meeting that we vote. Which I don't understand, which creates this conflict every meeting. So possibly these items, if we don't typically make the committee of a whole a voting meeting, it would make sense that things like this would be introduced at that committee of the whole so that when we come to the business meeting, they're easily voted on.
So I think it may be helpful to actually put something in our board rules about this. I've been on the board now for 7 months, and this issue comes up with a lot of regularity. In my opinion, if you're dealing with finances, a first and second read is absolutely appropriate. I think we've had that issue a few meetings ago. On something like this, I am not inclined to think it's as appropriate, but there is this past practice. It's not written down. It's this past practice of first and second read. It's not a Robert's Rules issue. It's not a board policy issue. We have this, we've always done it this way, and that's certainly not a good enough reason to continue it. So I think it may be helpful, and it's a new discussion item for today or some other time, or would I ask Kevin to go back and come up with some language we can add to board policy just to make it crystal clear. This is, otherwise we're just kind of dithering about this and it's not particularly effective. You know, on this issue, I have no problem approving it tonight. I don't think it has really any impact to do it tonight or do it in 2 weeks. That's what I'm hearing from the administration. But I do think we need to be just consistent. And so we need some kind of written guidance on this matter.
Right, and on the next issue, I would absolutely, what's going to come up next, we absolutely should not, right?
Absolutely,
The gas
right.
contract,
That's
absolutely not.
financial. But to me, that is the big difference. This is like a field trip permission, a first and second read. I really don't see a reason for a first and second read on that. I think that just delays the process of getting into the getting the students where they need to be. But I think we don't have anything written down, and that's,
Sure.
it becomes
But
speculative.
how do you
in our
break that
experience,
up?
the
Is there
field
a-
trip is where this rule kind of got created from because we've had issues with the field trips.
Then perhaps we need a couple of different items to look at for the board. Maybe you can write one up about field trips you want first and second read. You know,
So
I don't like the great to be the enemy of the good. What's the expression? The good to be the enemy of the great?
Right.
I had it right the first time. You know, and now I've even said too many words on this, and I'm mad at myself. But at the same time, I think we've just gone to this point where let's just hash it out, take a vote on it, amend the rules, and then move forward.
Yeah, and I, again, we have 6 months of a year where there are not 2 meetings. So there are some things that will develop over the summer that we don't have an opportunity, so then we have to hold something for 60 days before we can get approval. Now, we try to avoid bringing any new contracts like that. We at least try to do the advisory council so that we can say we're vetting it for those months. But we do not have 2 meetings every month. So we
Right.
just have to keep that in mind. Like, I think an easy place to start would be, something specifically with money. We should try to do 2 reads. I think that's a good place to start. Something with policy, I think that's a good place to start, 2 reads. So one could say changes to the handbook, changes to the curriculum guide, those are considered board policy, 2 reads, right? So anything that, impacts the spending of district funds or impacts policy, maybe should require 2 reads. Maybe that's a good barometer to start.
Right, so, yeah, I mean, I think it's something in section 220, right? Would make sense to start with. Maybe we could then react to it and say, yes, this is what we think would
Okay.
I think it would
eliminate our
be
risk.
phrased with that district funds, because this is student funds, technically, right?
Well, this isn't even spending money. This is just to create an account, so if they generate any money, they can have a place to put it.
Right. So I think in the verbiage there is what you're talking about.
All right.
All right, we'll work on that.
So Ramona, if you could request a motion, someone could second. Wes could take a vote. If we don't pass, we could bring it up, we could put it back on the agenda again next month.
Okay, then I will read the motion. Resolved that the Board of Education Township High School District 208, Cook County, Illinois approves establishing an activity account for girls lacrosse and renaming the existing activity account to boys lacrosse as presented in the February 11th, 2020 Board Agenda Packet.
Second.
Gina seconds. We'll do a roll call.
Jacobs?
Yes.
Ms. Sierra?
Yes.
Ms. Towner?
Yes.
Ms. Zalish?
As a matter of process, I'm going to vote no until we have an amendment to the board rules.
Mr. Durkin?
Yes.
Ms. Ruska?
Abstain.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.